Hey, welcome back to the IG. I'm Mike, and that is a 1973 Mercedes 450 SL. I found this old Merc nestled away in a fellow's barn in South Carolina, faithfully awaiting the day when someone would come along and save it. Interestingly, during my research, I found that this old car was once owned by a television Emmy Award winner. You just never know what you're going to find out there. Well, anyway, let's pick up where we left off with our restoration. Thanks for stopping by. All right, welcome back to the garage, everyone. I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to record. However, here in the next video, or in the previous video, I said, well, hey, you know what? Got to put a door in. So, let's just get busy, right? First things first, here's my strategy. The center part is what's messed up, okay? These, the railings here, right? And I think most of these runners and hinges and things like that and all that jazz, I think is fine, really. So my theory here is to just replace the middle part, right? Does that make sense to you guys? Just replace the middle part, the part that's messed up. So what I did was, if you've never done this before, don't follow my direction. Do it properly. Call a professional. That spring is under a lot of tension. Clearly, it raises the door for you, makes it easier rather. And I spun it this way to take tension off of this cable right here, which attaches to the bottom of the door, right? And it's got holes in it, and I used an improper tool. I used some all thread. You can buy $15. They sell you a couple of rods at Lowe's for $15, and it's just two hardened steel rods, so I'm not doing that anyway. So I loosened it some, or tightened it, depending on your point of view. And I cut a piece of all thread, and you can see it's wedged up underneath the door fascia up there. So anyway, we took the tension off of the cable like that. So we should be able to undo it from down there. And over there, the same thing. Pardon the acorns. I'm trying to work here, people. What a beautiful tree. And a beautiful day to be alive. I'm going to quit complaining now because, well, it's just pretty outside. And I'm not going to worry about it. So yeah, let's do this. Let's get started. There's the door. Usually you're supposed to unpack the stuff that you bought and make sure it's right, but we'll get around to that. So I'm going to start dismantling this. All right, I've got 7/16 here. Dropping bolts already. Oh, get me straight. Can't move. Arthritic. Hand works though. That's pretty cool. Well, here's one. Let's do this. We're just going to change it out. We're going to take the panels off and then we'll play it by ear. Damn my diminutive stature. I used to think 5'8" was the average height of a man. Not in Alabama though. They're growing big over here. Let me tell you what. I plan to reuse as much as I can. That's just the way I roll, man. Come on, wrist. You can do it. Well, that's fine. Go down there. Tried fretting the guitar last night. I was able to play a few tunes. By tunes, I mean, make some chords. Not an expert. I just like to make a melody or two once in a while. This is going to be a while. Where'd I put my wrench? Where'd I put my damn wrench? Oh, I put it up there where I can't get it. God, he doesn't know what he's doing. Now, let's see if we can get this top panel off of here. Should just zip right off of there. What do you think? I don't know if it's... I'm going to go around to the other side and see if there's anything that's going to impede my progress. I'll be right back. I don't think so. It should just lift straight off of there. I might want to go... All right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get my son real briefly, and I'm going to get some help. I'll be right back. All right, there we go. Easiest thing ever. Got number one son out here to help me remove those. All we did was remove the bolts and pick up each panel off the top, and it was really easy. It wasn't hard at all. Not really. Got all the bolts and the hinges and everything over here, and got all the damaged pieces over there outside, providing of course that the new door is precisely or really very similar to this one, which I don't see why. They're all the same, right? They're all the same? I think so. I don't know. I've never done it. It should be okay. I might be able to finish this in a couple hours. We'll give it old Carport Ford's try, though. I guarantee when he gets ready to do something, he wants to do it right now. Right frickin' now. Isn't that right, Mac? Why am I talking to you guys? I got work to do. All right, I'll be back. Alright, we got caught up now. I put my rollers in there. Had to pivot the hinges out of the way and slip it in there. No big deal. As always, something I forget. Wayne Dalton makes a fine product. Let me tell you what. I got to paint this thing again to match the other door. Hopefully I have some matching paint. Or I could just take a piece of the old door down to Lowe's and, you know, have them match it. That'll be easy. Alright, let's get this topping on there, I reckon. Let me see. Did I screw the hinges up again? I don't think so. I'm glad I'm not having to do this whole damn thing. Not sure what these self-tappers are for. I ain't used none of them yet, though. Might have to before the day's out. We'll see. I don't know if I'd enjoy doing this for a living. It seems pretty repetitive. My line of work, I usually do lots of different things. I hardly do the same thing twice. Kind of falls in line with my YouTube channel, actually. You're forgetting your wheels again. Golly, just a dummy. This door needed to be replaced anyway. It was getting old. Normally I'd wear a tool belt for, you know, construction, but I don't know why I'm not doing it this go around. I just don't do this kind of stuff anymore, not much. It got boring. I used to do it a lot. Alright, after a lot of cussing and backtracking and stuff like that and everything else, I got my rails in there, my rolls, and anyway, I had to backtrack. Backtracking Bobby is, what is it, Puddin'? He's fond of saying that. Redo Ricky. Yeah, I had to double back. Pull some of it apart and redo it. That's alright. Never done it before. It's cool. Still looks pretty good though. Let's get this top part of this piece of shit in here and get this nightmare over with. It's upside down. What are you going to do now? We're going to go outside and turn it the other way. What in the hell is going on? I need a drink. You gonna stay up there so I can get some screws in you? I've got my eye on you. If it did fall, it'd rip it to shreds, wouldn't it? Still hadn't used any self-tappers. I guess it's optional. All right, we got, let's make sure we got all the screws in it first. I guess I'm down to using self-tappers. What goes on top? I'm missing the thing on the top. I got to do that last, so let's do that now. All right, we got it bolted up there finally, and I'm fiddling with the spring. Got to get the cable in the little notches on the pulley up there, right? Use some tape over there. It wants to work its way out, so I got some tape over there just holding it in. So up next, I'm gonna take the, I'm gonna put some tension on this thing, see how well we do here. We're not done, clearly, by any stretch of the imagination. We've just got to barely loosen it. There we go. Now the tape will just break over there. And that cable came out of the wrong slot. System almost worked. Self-destructive system almost worked. All right, so I got the tape set over there again. And over here, I need 3 arms, but just barely. I'm gonna take that out of there. I'm gonna use this arm to position this cable over here in the right groove. That should. The tape is breaking over there. That should be it. We're done. All right, I got to put my handles and my latch on, but I think we're back in business. Careful. Just me again. No one around to see the greatness. One of these days, let's move on, shall we? I'm ready to move on to the next chapter. Insurance company will take care of the motorhome. So let me put the latches on this thing and button it up. I'll be back here in a minute. All right, only thing left to do now is put insulation back in the door. Works great. I got the latch, chunk on there. I got a handle back on there. And yeah, Wayne Dalton, good door. Lowe's, $479, 9x7. 8x7 is $470, $439, I think it was. Yeah, Lowe's wanted $1,163 to put this in, but they had to warranty it, and they were going to do a complete. That's the purchase price plus the installation. I mean, of basically gutting the whole door system and reinstalling a brand new spanking door from scratch. I didn't want that because there was no need in it, and I understand that they own it and they would have to warranty it, and that's perfectly acceptable, but it's outside of the scope of my budget right now. So I just gutted and reused all the rail, the spring, the cabling. The center part is brand new. Took me to, what is it, about 3 o'clock? I got to work on this about 8 o'clock in the morning. So you could do this in, 4 or 5 hours if you really know what you're doing. And it's not hard. It's very lightweight, so yeah, it's cool, no worries. Only thing I got to do now is put the insulation back in here. And these panels are, and this trimming is a slightly different dimension from the other one. So I just need to cut that down a little bit, squeeze it in there, probably put some goop right there to hold it on there. It'll keep the AC in the shop in the summer and the heat in the winter. And on a day like today, it doesn't matter. So anyway, all right, I'm gonna do that later off camera. I'm gonna fiddle with something else now. Let's move on and get something fun done next, okay? What that is, I really don't know. We'll figure it out together though. We'll be back right after these important messages. All right, the Mercedes lower ball joint, or maybe lower end upper, I don't know. Installation kit came in from eBay. Yeah, whatever. It came in. I ordered it from eBay, and all of a sudden I got an Amazon tracking thing. You know, a lot of time you buy something on eBay, and when you order it, they go, oh, okay. And then they just turn around and order it from Amazon. They've got a special dealer and they get a discounted price. And they order it from there and send it straight to your house. So they don't even stock anything. Anyway, whatever makes money, I guess. Came in. I'm cobbling it together. For the Mercedes, you need the kit that looks like this. So look at these parts carefully. It's got the groove. There's a smaller one like that. A couple of different ends. You got that thing. You got this thing here, and there's the ball joint. And yeah, so I got to figure out how to put that on the car. Got this in here. This fits the ball joint quite nicely. And this upper one is going to be the receiver cup on the lower control arm. I thank you, Mike's Mercs over there in the UK for showing me which kit to get. So appreciate it, buddy. And all right, let's move on and put these lower ball joints in the car. All right, that's what it looks like. So I got the ball joint there and the little cup behind it to press it in. And you got the receiver cup here. This receiver cup's got a little O-ring in it. And that O-ring holds it steady inside there so this doesn't drop down. Really nice little add-on, so you know it doesn't fall out. It's easy to put it up there. Probably would have been better if I did this off of the car, but I think I can do it like this as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my air impact on that and drive it on up in there. All right, you guys knew that wasn't going to work, right? So yeah, pulled the lower control arm back out of the car. Not a huge deal. And I got this ball joint press installer installed accordingly, and have my big, long, heavy-duty socket wrench. This thing expands out. It gets longer, like 3 feet. It's incredible. This Icon heavy-duty extendable ratchet from Harbor Freight is the best thing ever. 24 millimeter on this tool, by the way. So yeah, I'm gonna wrench this thing on down there. There we go. Yep. Let me zip that on down in there, and I'll be back here in a few minutes. I'm telling you, folks, go get one of these wrenches. Your life will be so much easier. That is a fact. I believe we're almost there. It's starting to tighten up. Yeah. Yeah, I believe we're home. One more little, yep, just for good measure. And let me remove all this stuff and we'll take a look at it. All right, there we go. We've got the lower ball joint installed in both lower control arms. With that big wrench, man, it was just no big deal at all. And one silly thing, I had these front bolts. The head of the bolt I had over here. That's dumb. Don't ever do that. I had to loosen this and lower it a little bit to get the bolt to clear that. Anyway, so no big deal. Put the head of the bolts of the control arm here and here with the nuts on the outside. Anybody who was experienced would probably say, yeah, that's the way you do it, dummy. Anyway, there you go. Lower ball joints installed. Yeah, up next, we'll see if we can get these springs in here and the spindles. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge for sure. I may try to put some black paint on the spindles, however, before I do that. So yeah, it's not going to be easy. Mark my words. All right, you could have told me I had the spring in there upside down. I already done this once. So just saying, it's your fault. That's the bottom. See that big thing right there? That's the bottom part. Don't forget that, but it'll be okay. All right, got the spring compressor in here for the second time. And what you want to do is pay close attention to the orientation. You want to make sure this thing gets in the middle of the spring. If it's cockeyed either way, it'll make your life bad. You need some rungs up here because, in other words, some uncompressed rungs, because of this, right? If the spring compressor sticks out, it'll get hung up in here. So you need some free unsprung parts of the spring, about that much. Anyway, so I think I think I've got it correct this time. So got the transmission jack underneath this whole affair, and I think I have enough room here to squeeze that in there. So I'm going to try that next, and I'm going to put on some gloves and some safety goggles before I do that. All right, got the spring up in there, and got the thick end right there in the little nook and cranny where it's supposed to go in the lower control arm. Flat end goes on top, just like Frankenstein's got a flat head. Yeah, that's where the spring's supposed to be, so don't forget that. Anyway, got the jack here, and got the safety rope. I should have, not wearing gloves though, should have done that. All right, well then, anyway, so what I'm going to do now is try to use the jack and not send the car off of the lift at the same time. And we'll see how this goes. All right, so far so good. We're up to about right there. No danger of the car coming off the lift. We're here, we got the flat end. Is going to go down in the little nook and cranny. That guy there is going to go down inside there, okay? Mr. Spring, do not do your thing until I tell you to do it, okay? You just keep on playing nice with the Impala Man here. Don't make any sudden... There we go. Sphincter factor's high. There we go. You're not playing nice, upper control arm. If the car does lift a little bit off of the lift, I mean, that's okay. I think we're almost there. There we go. All right, one more time. All right, let's get our nut started. Yeah, all right. All right, there we go. This is actually probably one of the easiest spring installations I've ever seen, to be perfectly honest with you guys. I mean, it's always, the pucker factor is always high, right? When dealing with a coil spring. All right, so here's the deal. You see how I got this down low and I got these freed up here? That means when I, expand this thing, the spring compressor tool will not be jammed up inside here. So that's the current working theory. Yes, the other part is in the back there, but I think there's room for it to free up. So, and I'll probably have to buy another spring compressor because this thing started to destroy itself after the first use. So let me, let's do this. Let's get full engagement on the ball joint threads here before we let the suspension system play with the spring. All right, got full engagement. Full engagement. Consequently, if you want full engagement, you got to put a 6mm right there and hold it with your other hand, and do that to tighten it down. So yeah. Sorry about this shoddy camera work, but it's kind of late. And I'm a little weary, so. All right, here we go. Come on. There we go. Take it. Take it like a spring. There we go. All right. So up next, I'm going to get the impact and loosen the spring tool out of there. I'll be right back. All right, that worked out actually really well. I got the impact wrench out and stuck it up through there and removed the threaded shaft of the spring compressor. This thing is jammed in there like that, but that is no big deal. I'll take a hammer and just tap that around and loosen that, and I'll ease that up out of there. And I'll do the same for that one up there, and it'll be okay. So fortunately for us, there is a big hole in the top. It's about like that. All right, so that's my plan. I should be able to get these guys out of here through the hole in the top. All right, total transparency. I'm an idiot, basically. There's a bolt here and right there, and you can just take the bolt out, and that little part right there will just slip right out of the tool, and you can dismantle the tool inside there, and then you can slip it out the top. How simple is that? I cannot see the forest for the trees sometimes, and I'm being pretty dumb right about now, or was anyway. So yeah, I'm going to take the tool apart inside the spring and snake it out of the top. So how about that? So yeah, just took the bolt out, take that out of there like that, and then we should be able to get my little cable tie, piece of cable in there. I'm going to grab the other one and I'm going to snake it up out of the top. Alright, and if I don't have any room to do this, then we can always lower the subframe again, but we don't need to do that. So yeah, how cool is that? Yes, the tool is designed to be disassembled. Yeah, how about that? And we'll totally gloss over the fact that I started to destroy the tool by cutting the tip off to snake it past the springs. Yeah, whatever. We'll just put that out of our mind. So yeah, I'm going to get this one out of here next. I'll take the bolt out and bring it up out of the top, and we'll be done with this side, except for not painting the spindle. Why did I not paint the spindle, you ask? Because I got in a rush, I got in a hurry, and I said, screw it, I'll just paint it after I get it together. So there you go. Alright, I went and got a piece of string and tied it to the tool. And that was pretty easy. I got one more little piece in there. I'm going to fish that one out next, and then we'll finish up. All right, we got the driver's side spring compressed down to about 13 3/4 of an inch. Not quite as much as the other side. I wanted to see how much leeway we had in just doing the, jacking it up. And it looks like it's going to work out just fine, just from my initial indications here. So the end of the spring is right there, and there's the little recess where it sits down below there. I'll need to do some more painting, obviously, but I put this on briefly just to keep myself from, overworking this. I still got a ways to go on strengthening. So yeah, so right now what I'm going to do is, let's see, we're going to nestle this into place. There we go. And then we're going to raise the lower control arm. Bam! All right, that's good enough. We'll let the fasteners do the rest of the job. It's amazing how much strength is in a set of threads. Let me go back up a little more. There we go. All right, it's 12 by 1.5 hex nut. That's a locking nut too. I was trying to get it past the nylon lock and then get this on here such that it wouldn't rotate the ball joint. And this may be doing, I don't know, let's see. I just want a regular one. There we go. I'm beginning to think now that taper on that ball joint is not accurate for this, or if I have this on upside down. Do I? I don't know. Let's see. This I got a point. That's got a point. Interesting. How much do we have there? Interesting. Maybe it just takes, more. I don't know. Here we're not even. Yeah, that's interesting. Let's see if we can take it up there. I mean, like, look how far we are up on the ball joint now. All right, we got that taper engaged. All right, now we should be able to get the nut that came with the ball joint with the nylock on it. Probably could have just used the other nut, but whatever. Just using the stuff that came with it, you know. All right, I'll have to torque that down to the proper setting. Clearly. So yeah, is it supposed to be that squished? I didn't think it was supposed to be that squished. Let's lower it and see what happens. I suspect I'll be back in there taking it apart again because I did something incorrect. I'm not sure though. Fling! All right, so I'm going to go ahead and loosen up the spring compressor next. So for whatever reason, the shaft, either this taper on this ball joint is smaller than the other one. I really don't know. Couldn't tell you because you got a lot more overhang here. And I tightened this one down a lot with the same tool, and it went to right there. So yeah, I don't know. So if we look at where this thing stops, the top of that is kind of level with that. And it's about the same over here, actually. So it's a little weird. So I guess maybe the taper of this ball joint is slightly different than the other one. Who knows? All right, let's go ahead and loosen our spring compressor. There we go. Now just wait. Don't do it all at once. Make sure nothing's going to fly apart. You know, you just don't go in there hog wild when you're dealing with a spring now, folks. Okay? You just don't do that. You got to treat this thing cautiously. Got to have respect for it. Oh, are we coming out of the hole right in there? Are we coming out of the hole? Yeah, looks like we are. You can see it start to bow out a little bit. All right, we got to make sure, and we're probably not. We got to make sure the tool is coming out the top, and it is. So we're good. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I imagine this, by the way, this is a cheap Chinese performance tool spring compressor I got at O'Reilly. And I dare say that this was, there we go. That's probably the only 2 times I'm going to use that tool. It's going to go in the scrap metal bin from here on. All right, so what I'm going to do now is basically take the bolts out of this right here. Yeah, it kind of got screwed on that deal right there. I got to pivot this around some kind of way. And this one's nice and loose up here. It's fine. I'm going to take the bolts out of it and snake it out the top like we did the other. That one's going to be a little bit of a headache. Let me work on this for a few minutes. All right, just a little hammer and a punch and whatnot. You just hammer it around. You wind it up. That's all you do. So I'm going to take those bolts out, loosen that up, and we'll snake everything out of the top of the spring. Well, lo and behold, look at what arrived on my front porch from Niemöller. Let's get this into the shop and check it out. All right, there we go. I got the rest of the compressor tool fished out of the spring with just used some string and dangled it down in here. And ended up using a, where did it go? There we go. I used this 1/4-inch extension and a 13mm socket to this 13mm socket here to unscrew these here, from the tool, and that worked out really well. Just zipped them right out of there. You can't get the socket into the spring because it's too big, so I fished it up through there like that, and I used some needle nose pliers to bring it up to where I wanted it, and I ran my 1/4 inch extension into there like that, and I used the ratchet and zipped those screws out of there, and then used string to get the rest of the pieces of tool out of the spring. So yeah, a little fiddly, but hey, you know, it works, and you don't have to do you don't have to do this down here. You know, the factory service procedure would have you lower the lower control arm this way to do the spring, but there's really no need in it. This, I know, as fiddly as this looks, is actually a lot easier because you don't have to compress the spring. Not really that much. It's about 15 inches uncompressed, something like that. I forget what it is. It doesn't really matter. You want to, if you can take it down to about 13.5 to 14, it's perfectly fine. And you don't have to take it all the way. You can get it in there and then just use a transmission jack to take it the rest of the way. Even with the engine out of the car, there's not enough pressure there to be, put yourself in any kind of danger. So all in all, now that I went to school on this, I would say if I had to do it again, I could probably put both these springs in half an hour. So yeah, up next, what I'm going to do is tighten everything up on the control arms, upper and lower control arm bolts, retorque the subframe mount bolts. I'm going to torque up these guys here all the proper specs, and then we're going to move on. Goal is to get this car on the ground and rolling, so I'd kind of like to do that at least. So yeah, we'll have to put some bearings and some brake discs along the way. So we may do that here shortly. All right, let's see what we got from Niemöller. I'll give you a hint. It's necessary for steering a R107 Mercedes. All right, so that's the front end torsion bar end link kit, which I did not have until now. I could get this from other people, but I bought it from them because there was a minimum purchase amount from Niemöller since they're in Germany. But what I really bought is, what I was really after is this. This is the steering coupling. All right, do you know where this goes, everybody? Do you know where this goes? But yeah, that coupler goes around this little guy right here, right? And that end right there goes up inside your steering column, and this guy here goes towards the steering gear. And these are rebuildable. You can buy these at like $150. This coupling right here. Right, and what happens is, apparently, you see there's some rubber bushings right up in there. That's a piece of rubber right up in there. If you fiddle with that with a little pick tool, it'll just break apart. If you start driving this car, that rubber right in there and that plastic, it's going to break apart. And then before you know it, this right here is going to start loosening it up, and your steering is going to get really sloppy. So what I'm going to do before too long is I'm going to get on McMastercar.com, and I'm going to cut this rivet out right here, and I'm going to pull that out of there, pull that rubber out of there. I'm going to buy me some brass bushings that are the same size, or appropriate size. I'm going to buy an appropriately sized rivet to put back through there. What I'm going to do is rebuild this permanently so that will never come apart again. So that's my plan. May not be in this video, but I don't know. We'll see. All right, so in case you needed some reminding, right up in there, you have a little cover. And guess what? Nobody's got it except Niemöller. So yeah, goes right up in there. It's a dust cover, keeps the world out of your steering column, right? That's what it does. It's not a Mercedes part, apparently. I don't see the Mercedes number on it. It's a reproduction, but it's way better than the one I had. So yeah, ordered that all the way from Germany. So that'll go up in there, and the steering shaft will go in here and connect to the steering box and all that jazz. Steering coupling grommet? Steering coupling dust cover? I forget what you call it. It's got a part number. I'll probably put it in the video. All right, here we go. Here's the steering coupling. So I'm going to go ahead and get my air tool out here. I'm going to cut the ends of these rivets off here and here. And we'll just see how well we do. Alright, so I got both of the ends of that rivet cut off of there and started hammering around a little bit with a cold chisel and a hammer. And you can see I've started to separate those two ends there. Can't do a whole lot with two hands here. I'm not really setting up the camera this video a whole lot. Sorry about all that. But I'm not doing anything earth-shattering here. This is kind of tedious work anyway. So yeah, I'm going to get after this some more with a hammer and a cold chisel and get these two ends separated. I'll be right back. All right, about 10 or 15 minutes later, that's what you have. And let's get these rivets in here. I guess they're steel. I'm not really sure. They feel like steel. There we go. You can see they're embedded in a rubber bushing there. So this is rebuildable, although I don't see a kit for rebuilding this online anywhere. Come on. So see if I can't find something analogous to that on McMaster car. This is a solid cord, whatever this is. I'm going to call it a rivet. You can see where I drilled the end out. And you can see the rubber bushing up inside there. So I'm going to disassemble all that mess and take some measurements and see what I can come up with. If I can't come up with anything, I'll just buy another one. All right, I'm going to move on to something else and see if we can't get these brake hubs and rotors on the car. Got to take this is the original rotor. I got new ones down there, so got to get this hub out, and we got a 10mm Allen, and you got to clean the holes out first, right? Got to clean them out. I cleaned that one out and put some grease in there too, right? Then I tapped it in with a hammer. Make sure it was in there really nicely, and then when you put your thing in here, hopefully, there we go, kind of like that. So yeah, let me get all those out of there and see what we can do about getting that hub out of that rotor. All right, got those bolts out of there, and just tapping that with a hammer. You can see I cracked it loose already. Really simple, really. I just hold it with one hand and tap it with that hammer, and this is coming right out of there. So let me get that hub out of there real quick. And I'm not going to detail a lot of this kind of stuff. It's kind of mundane stuff. You've seen me do a lot of this stuff on the W126 chassis. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's not rocket science. So just going to tap that hub out. I'm going to tap right there with a hammer, and boom, it should come right out. All right, no big deal, okay? Yeah, got ourselves a hub. How about that? So up next, I'm going to remove the bearings and bearing races and the seal. The seal has already been removed. So what I'm going to do, so I guess step one, as Junkyard Digs is often fond of saying, you see this guy right here, right there, that's a bearing race right there. All right, some hardened grease right there. Get that out of there. So there's a lip, right? See, I got a little bent screwdriver here. There's a lip right there. All right. So what I'm going to do is flip that over like that and come in here with a blunt end punch. Okay, and I'm going to catch that lip. I'm going to tap, 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 tap. That's how you take a bearing race out of a hub. Okay, so I'm going to do that real quick. I'll be right back. All right, got a blunt end punch here. I'm going to find that lip down in there somewhere. There it is. Right there. Okay, I'm going to get my hammer and I'm going to tap. I can probably do it without even holding it. Flip it around. Find the edge of that race. All right. Let's just keep doing that. And it's a surprisingly clean job as well. Yeah, you see there? You see where that, I did have a smear of grease right there, right? Now you can see where the race is being pushed out of the hub. So, it's not hard. It's not. We're almost out of there. I'm going to use two hands and get that the rest of the way out of there. I'll be back here in a minute. All right, there you go. That's your inner bearing race. I'm always curious as to see what was in here. Looks like there was a Timken in here. I'm going to guess these bearings were probably replaced at some point in the car's life, seeing as how it had, you know, like basically 100,000 miles on it. LM67010. I think. Yeah. Anyway, we got new bearings, so no big deal. Made in France. Very cool. Okay, let's take a look at the wear surface here. They look really good, actually. There was probably nothing wrong with these bearings whatsoever. But I'm a huge fan of not trusting the bearings in something that I dug out of a barn. And the car is 52 years old. So I always do this. I always do all of the suspension and steering. I don't like a car that drives like complete junk. I don't like failing bearings. It's just swap the stuff out, okay? When you restore a car, swap out this kind of nonsense. There's no reason to go down the road going, man, I hope these bearings hold up. That's just dumb, okay? So yeah, I mean, right now, you know, after we do this, you got total confidence, right? So that's why I'm doing it. And it doesn't cost a lot of money. All right, got some wood there and placed it up there like that because, well, it's just needed. So got the outer bearing removed. And again, let's see. It's a Timken. Made in France. Oui, oui. All right. So that hub is naked, as they say in Alabama. And the grease is utterly crystallized and awful. So what I'm going to do is degrease this with some super clean, probably. And then I'm going to probably put it on the wire wheel. I'm gonna clean it up. I'm gonna clean it up, man. It's gonna look brand new when I'm done. Then I'm gonna put a little paint on it, and then I'm gonna put new races in it, new bearings, and a new seal. And then I'm gonna put it in that brake rotor down there. So I guess the next thing you're gonna see is a nice clean hub. So we'll be back here in just a little bit. All right, there you go. We got the hub cleaned up there, and I soaked it in super clean overnight, and I cleaned the guts out with soap and water and brake clean and whatnot. So basically, you know, it's a new hub. And I cleaned the rust and the paint off of here with just a die grinder. So yeah, looking pretty good. Up next, I think what I'm going to do is give it a little bit of a paint job. What have we got here? Let's see. We're just going to go with a good old Duplicolor flat black here. I mean gloss black, actually. Going to look way better than it did. That's for doggone sure. Yeah, I'm not going to go crazy with this. I think I'm just going to do one light coat like that and leave it that way. So that'll give us a little bit of corrosion protection. I think you'll agree it looks way better than it did. All right, I'm gonna let that dry, and we'll go ahead and put some grease down in there and put some bearings in, or rather some bearing races. And let's go ahead and just, you know, get a light sheen of grease all over the interior to prevent any kind of flash corrosion on our newly cleaned up hubs. All right, we're going to go ahead and hammer in or install rather, the inside race. And these are Timken, made in the USA. So hopefully they'll be, you know, good to go. Got the inside all greased up there. You want to get that squared up pretty good. And you want to get this, get the right size tool. Clearly I have the wrong size tool. No, I don't like to put the beveled end down inside the race. I like for nothing to touch the inside of the race. I don't care if this is aluminum. I just don't like it. All right, so I got the wrong end in there, but that's the way I roll. So anyway, I got it so that it spans across the exterior of the race. All right, and hopefully the first shot won't get us out of square. Look at that. It takes a pro to do something like that. Yeah, we're going in square. A few more taps and I'll get that fully seated. And you can see the ledge. See that ledge right down in there? That's what we're aiming for. So I'm going to tap that down in there until I get it nestled against that ledge. And then we'll load up the bearing with grease, put that in there, and put this seal in. And for the last tap, I'm going to go ahead and take the old race and put it end on end like that. Actually, let's put the flat end. Let's put the flat end down. This is just to give it a little final nudge. And you can feel it when it gets home because the sound changes. Yep, she's home. All right, we got the bearing packed up and nestled into place there. If you've never packed a bearing with grease before, it's not hard. You just put some grease in this hand, hold the bearing in the other hand, and you pack it. Anyway, you kind of mash it around until you see grease ooze out the other side of the bearing. And you just keep doing it until you think, well, it's all in there. It's not hard. So that means we have the seal left. So let's put that in next. All right, there's our Timken seal. Yep, let's see. Doesn't say where it's made. Does it say on the box? Made in Taiwan. How about that? All right. So the open part with the spring, when you see the spring, that always goes down towards the bearing, right? So, in case you were wondering, you want to start it off nice and flat, all right? Then we're going to take our tool. I'm going to get a slightly bigger one to span the entire diameter, and we're going to tap that gently into place. All right, there you go. Very gentle tapping on a seal. Don't want to go hog wild there. As long as this is flush all the way around here, this metal is flush with that rubber right there, and that feels just fine. That's all I'm after. And what I'm going to do is just simply cover this up until tomorrow, because it's late and I'm tired, and I'll flip it over and do the other half tomorrow.